Hi, what should we watch first? I would like to do, let's do KrakDuk first, maybe? KrakDuk? He's so cute, little ducky. Anyways, this is KrakDuk. We're gonna learn about Necron lore in cute little animation form. I'm excited. More Necron propaganda, yay!
Hi friends,
KrakDuk!
it's spooky season, woo! And it's almost Halloween! Or maybe it is Halloween and / or past Halloween, depending on how long it takes.
Clearly it took too long, rip. Oh, this must have came out past Halloween then.
Me draw this video. But anyways, today we're talking about the most Halloween 40k faction of them all. Nope, not them. Not them either. Alright, come on, we talked about this last week.
Demons! Yay!
Damn it, we're talking about the Necrons.
Yay, Necrons! Oh boy. That's a flare cult, isn't that one? That's gotta be the flare cult. The little sad face. The Flayed Ones.
Spooky, scary skeletons, they're hordes of the undead, spirit shenanigans. They even have creepy crawlies. Come on, they are the Halloween faction to me. And they're all—
That Halloween faction! I don't get that vibe from them at all, but I guess they are skeletons. I think they're the based faction myself.
also just a really cool faction in general. Unkillable hordes of the undead, unfathomably advanced tech, old man squabbling, and they shoot green.
Yay!
What's there not to love?
Look, oh my god, guys, look how Necron coded I am. I literally blend into the video. I blend into the background of this video. I could be in the background of this video and you'll be like, yeah, that tracks. That's a Necron right there. Oh, dang it, you ruined it! Why do you have to foil me, meteor? Why?
With the Necrons. The history of the Necrons started with a humble little thing called the War in Heaven. And the history of the War in Heaven started with a little thing called the Necron tier. And
oh yeah, that's when they looked like sad little potatoes. The Necron tier, before they got their hard metal bodies.
the history of the Necrons here started with a little thing called constantly dying to solar winds of death and deadly radiation of death and such. The Necrons here were one of the oldest xenospecies in the galaxy, and their long
Your mother?
played by the aforementioned solar winds of death and deadly radiation of death and such. This created a culture of death.
Yeah, they're very death coded, aren't they? They grew up on like a death planet that was constantly killing them with radiation. And then they literally died and came back as robots. That's why I like them so much.
Where they created elaborate tombs and struggled to keep their species alive. However, despite their ill fortune, the Necron tier endured and developed extremely advanced technology.
Snuggie.
Using their mega tech, the Necron tier expanded their empire across the galaxy in hopes of better conditions. However, no matter where they went, their species remained sickly. Some say this was a curse, others say it was warp related, but a headcanon that I
It should be noted the warp was more neutral in this time, not really the hell analog we know in 40k. Oh yeah, because the war haven't made the warp really unstable.
actually really like from a biological perspective is that since they evolved in such poor conditions, they evolved to not be able to repair cell breakdown as well, since it didn't really matter to them anyways. So from this perspective, they kind of evolved super cancer. Oh, but father.
What? Wait, he does voice acting? That's amazing. Oh, but father.
Pokemon said evolution would give me wings or something badass. Nope, sorry son, just cancer.
Oh!
It couldn't be at least Digimon evolution where I evolve gun hands or something? You'll get gun hands soon enough, kid. Huh? Who are you? Oh wait, I'm not supposed to appear yet. Sorry.
Oh, is that the Catan?
Guys.
I can tell because of his six-pack.
Perplexing. Another funny theory is that they actually lived relatively long lifespans, but they were still angry about not living as long as they wanted to and / or believed they deserved to. This is because another trait of the Necron tier culture is that they were extremely ambitious and entitled. Along with seeking new homes to prosper in, the Necron tier conquered many alien races. And they didn't conquer diplomatically, that's boring. Nope, they used their mega death rays and other tech to wage war. Shocking from a franchise called Warhammer, I know. But anyways, eventually the Necrons came across the Old Ones. They're basically just magic space lizards who were the first sentient life forms in the Milky Way galaxy. The Necrons here asked the Old Ones to share their secrets of
Immortality, please? Immortality, uwu? Please? If I ask nicely, please?
immortality, but they were refused. Be it because the Old Ones couldn't grant the Necrontyr their wish, or simply because they didn't want to. The Necrontyr shed some Necron.
Look how angry he is! Aww. He's just like a VTuber when someone tells them no. Instant brat mode activated. Necrons are just kind of bratty, actually.
On tears of rage and declared war on the godlike lizards. And thus began the War in Heaven. The war united the once feuding dynasties, and with their great tech, newfound unity, and powerful sense of purpose, the Necrontyr got absolutely curb stomped, and in a few centuries were almost completely destroyed. But luckily, the Necrontyr came across some nice fellows called the Catan, another godlike species that could rival.
Yeah! Why does he kind of look like Goku? Totally trustworthy looking. Totally.
The Old Ones. The Catan spokesperson, a lovely guy called the Deceiver, which, to be fair, he wasn't called that until later on, but Mr. Deceiver talked to the leader of the Necrons, Sazarek, the Silent King. Which, by the way, cool Silent King fact, the position is called as such since the Necron race was governed by the Triarch. Essentially, the Silent King would have two little buddies, and whenever the king would make a decree, he would need to tell it to his little pals.
Oh, okay, I didn't know this part about how the Triarch worked. Okay. We love the Silent King here. He's a little silly, but I mean, he feels bad about it.
And the pals would judge if it was a just decree, and they would have the ability to ignore it, alter it, or whatever as long as the other one agreed. So it was kind of like a mini checks and balances system. All that to say, he's called the Silent King because he's only allowed to talk to his Payrons. But anyways, the Deceiver promised immortality for the Necrontyr if they were—
Look at the little heart by immortality. You want some immortality? Yeah? You want a little bit of immortality?
to ally with the Catan against the Old Ones. The Triarch discussed this matter, and the Necron Royal Court also voiced their opinions, and in the end, only Orican the Diviner opposed allying with the Catan. Orican warned of the potential deception at play, and to this day, still brings it up in I told you so fast.
Okay, but to be fair, if you were the one guy who said, don't do this, and then they did it and you lost your souls and turned into living robots, I would be saying I told you so for eternity. That is the one time, like, it's valid to say I told you so for eternity. King made a tiny oopsie and doomed his species and hundreds of others and made the warp into actual hell. Just a little oopsie.
Which, to be fair, he did. So, too bad for Nerdican the Dorkhiner, the Silent King was just too excited to get immortality and to destroy the Old Ones once and for all. So, he sold his soul to the Deceiver. Quite literally, that is. Since, after joining the K-Team, the Necrontyr underwent the biotransference.
Well, it's a deal then. Excellent. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Wait, what? Nothing? Did you say robot?
Oh,
Silent King was
that was a smooth transition. Nice.
First to undergo this process and had his Necrontyr flesh replaced with the living metal in the bio furnaces. But immediately after doing this, the now soulless Silent King learned a funky new word called regret.
Oh no. Regret for the consequences of my own actions.
Fortunately for him, though, he already had his subjects undergo the biotransference right after him, so R.I.P. soul.
Oh, my old hammer simp brain wants to make a joke so bad right now. Oh, I won't. It's too obvious and lame, and it's not even fully true.
Looks like the 40K model range went through the biotransference, am I right, boys? Haha, get it, because the new models have no soul.
I'm not immersed enough into the models to get this joke, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Damn it! The new Necron models also look pretty cool anyway, so this is just a bad joke.
Yeah, they do look really cool, actually. I'm excited for my combat patrol. I think they look really cool.
Old models are better.
But yeah, anyways, the biotransference granted the Necron tier immortal metal bodies, but robbed them of their souls. And thus, the Necrons were born, named as such since the race collectively shed some tears upon their grave mistake. 2 puns in 1 sentence. Man, I'm good. Along with losing their souls, most of the Necron tier also lost their sentience. Only the most powerful and high-ranking Necron tier retained their autonomy, and they led the soulless legions of Necrons in the biggest comeback in the Milky Way galaxy. With their new shiny metal ass.
Aw, they look so head empty. Is that Bender from Futurama? What the heck?
And funky god allies, the Necrons turned the tide of the war, and as a response, the old ones began making new warrior species like the Orcs and the Eldar. Eventually, the war got so cuckoo crazy style that the Immaterium, which mirrors the Materium, became extremely violent and spawned warp horrors that helped eradicate the old ones.
Oh, is that how they got rid of the old ones? I always wondered what exactly they did to get rid of the old ones. I know they beat them, but they used the Immaterium. They ate them. Oh.
The old ones gone, the Necrons had won the war in heaven, and all it costed them was most of their species, their literal souls, and I don't know, it took a pretty long time to do. They could have probably painted at least 140k army in that time, I feel. But after the war, the Necrons weren't done yet. Soon after the war, the Silent King betrayed the Catan, and at this point, they were so strong that they were actually able to shatter and enslave the Catan.
Yay!
Slaver get enslaved.
The slaver got enslaved. We're here for it. I promote Catan slavery because they deserved it. They deserved it. I also think it's kind of cool that they use like shards of Catan. Like, get crunked, idiot.
After vanquishing 2 godlike species and waging the craziest war the galaxy has ever seen, the Necrons, they were a bit tuckered out.
Oh.
The Silent King knew that the Eldar would defeat the remaining Necrons and gain dominion of the galaxy if something wasn't done. So, he created great
EP chamber. Oh, they got a bit eepy. They work so hard. They got a bit eepy. They gotta have a big nappy. Necron EP chambers.
Stasis tombs and ordered the Great Sleep. He believed that the immortal Necrons could simply outlast the Eldar by sleeping past their wonder years. So, the Great Sleep began, and the Silent King exiled himself out of the galaxy.
Wait, the war in heaven lasted 5 million years? And they killed the dinosaurs? Whoa, I didn't realize it lasted that long. I knew it was a long war, but 5 million years. Holy.
So then, a cool 60 million years later, the Necron tombs began to reawaken. Some Necrons reactivated earlier than others, and
literally me. This is me before stream every morning, chat. Like, actually, no breakfast in sight, full pot of coffee, wearing my pajamas, eye bags. Stim face reveal. This is actually me. Editor put Stim's face on it.
established the Awakened Council in order to keep the peace with the Necrons that would awaken after them. And in the great 41st millennium, a large amount of Tomb Worlds are beginning to wake up and reestablish themselves as a major threat in the galaxy. The Great Sleep was not without faults, however. The calculations were wrong, and there were a number of other issues. Firstly, the galaxy was still in turmoil.
The calculations were wrong. So the Necrons calculated it wrong for when they should wake up? I know they got I know some of the Tomb Worlds got, like, disturbed. But how do you get your calculations wrong when you're supposed to be, like, the most intelligent, highly advanced species? Unknown factors made them wrong. Oh, us. I see. They messed up thinking 65 million years into the future. Sorry. All right, fair. They slept any longer and they would have all been corrupted anyways. I guess they didn't take into account what humans would do. That's right. Try programming a machine that works perfectly for 60 million years and has to work perfectly all the time. Oh, and the war. Yeah, that's true. I mean, humans weren't even thought of when this happened, so humans did a lot. And so did the Eldari. That's
so
true.
the easy sweep that the Necrons had hoped for wasn't going to be an easy task. Also, a lot of the tomb worlds decayed and either made the Necrons within insane or just outright killed them. That latter oopsie leading to many millions of Necrons perishing. So then, in the present time, the Necrons are mostly trying to reunite their species and retake the galaxy.
Wants to reverse biotransference and unite Necrons, the Silent King. Wants to collect them all, Trazyn. Wants to conquer the world as robot overlords. Is that Oricon? Or who's that one? I'm covering them. Wants to be energy or something. Oh no, that's Oricon. Oricon would want to be energy or something. Oh, Imhotep. Imhotep? Imhotep. Okay. Yeah, Oricon wants to that makes sense. I didn't see him in the corner there. I didn't see him hanging in the corner there. Imhotep, the Storm Lord. He wants to conquer the world as robot overlords. I see. We love our Trazyn. We love a good museum curator.
And hopefully reverse a biotransference. But finally, let's get into exactly what the Necrons are now that we know exactly how they came to be. The Necrons are skeletal, Terminator-like dudes whose living metal bodies resemble the long-lost Necron tier. But, fun fact, they weren't always skeleton-looking and look as such in 40k because, despite being immortal, they still decayed a bit. Some Necrons wake up being surprised that they're now skeletons.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Waking up from a slumber and you're like a robot skeleton? That is some body horror if I ever heard it. Oh my god. That would be scary. That would be cool. I will be sad. I'm like, what? I'm not a cute anime girl anymore? What? Stim begins the process of the flare virus.
Biotransference, the Necron tier usually got Necron bodies based on their rank. So the regular warriors got the bare bones.
That's you, Stim peasants. That's you, Stim peasants. That's you. This me? This is me. And that's you. That's you. Would you rather be cute or badass? Cute.
Warrior
But
chassis, while the more prominent Necrons who kept their sentience resembled their old selves more than the standard warriors. In the Infinite Divine, it was also said that the Necrons sometimes had their personality traits mirrored physically in their new bodies.
Yeah.
Along with this, they also get some other cool stuff like stronger regeneration abilities, Chronosense, which is just the ability to adjust the speed in which they perceive time. Necrons with Chronosense can literally see in slow motion, which is quite helpful.
Reading the Infinite into Divine is basically just, I use my Chronosense. My Chronosense does this. My Chronosense, use my Chronosense. And then because of my Chronosense, I swear. And I'm like, wait, how does this work again? Trying to understand the tech that's not meant for humans to understand.
And they get some other cool stuff, most important of all being Immaculate Drip.
Yeah.
But in order of importance, the Silent King is on top and has the most advanced body, it being described as elegant and lively, unlike the other Necrons who often stagger about like metal zombies. Also, he's not supposed to look skeletal, unlike the other Necrons. His model looks cool, but
he looks so cool. Look at that. Look at that shard right there. Just writhing in eternal torment. I love it. Silent King looks heckin' cool. He is such a good model. Ah, this makes me want to do the original green color scheme for mine. Okay, dude, don't need aura formas. Yeah, look at the aura he has. His model comes with the throne, yeah. He looks cool.
really dropped the ball by literally having him just look like a big Necron, in my opinion. I also don't think that a character like him should have gotten a model, but that's
What?
a take for another time.
Why does he think he should get a model, huh? Silent King deserves a model. He's badass.
Then going down, there's the Phaerons, who serve as the rulers of the Necron dynasties,
Yeah.
Nemesaurs, who serve Phaerons as Necron general.
I forgot to draw a Nemesaur, but also Imhotep used to be a Nemesaur, so I guess just imagine younger Imhotep here.
And then there's the Overlords, who rule groups of a few tomb worlds for their Phaerons, and then there's the Lords, who control a single tomb world.
He's from old Warhammer where you weren't supposed to be playing as the main characters all the time, I think. Oh, interesting. He's too strong for tabletop. He killed a god with his own hands. Wait, but can't you have Primarchs on the tabletop? Like there's Primarch models. Or is that just new? Primarch, you think Primarchs aren't as strong as the Silent King? Not even close? Silent King is above Primarch? Oh. I guess we did have the conversation on who would win in a 1v1, the Emperor or the Silent King. Actually, I said the Emperor versus all of Necrons. I still think Necrons would win if they were like full power. Before the sleepies. Like if you do full power Emperor versus full power Necrons, Prime Emperor had no match. This is such a good conversation. I could talk about this for hours, but I guess that would be like having an Emperor model on the table. That does make sense now that you think about it. I guess I kind of put like the leader of a race or a faction on the same power level as Primarch, but that's not really right, I guess. With Necrons, because they're so much older and advanced. Full power Necrons versus just one dude is not a fight. Silent King versus Emperor makes more sense, and even then I would argue lore Silent. Really, you would argue lore Silent King wins. I feel like Emperor could 1v1 anyone full power. But anyways, back to the video.
And then, serving the aforementioned ruling Necrons, there are the Immortals, who were once the Necron tier veterans and elite shock troopers. These dudes have a bit of autonomy to make battlefield decisions without a lord, but they're still quite limited, and they can be predictable since they cannot make new tactics. But these guys are still deadly warriors. They have a stronger repair mechanism than the warriors, and they have beefier weapons like Tesla carbines and Gauss blast.
They got bigger guns, therefore they're bigger and stronger, but they do got the bigger guns. Their guns are cool.
I'll talk about the reanimation protocol and weapons in a bit.
Stim needs to get a bunch of lore tubers to power scale the Emperor versus the Silent King for. Does anybody actually know though? I feel like it's all speculation. No one can actually determine that.
Finally, there are the lowly warriors. These dudes can only perform basic tasks on their own and need some type of leader to guide them in battle.
These are the Stim peasants. Basic bitches. Just kidding, I love you. I'm one too. You need someone to lead you in battle, and I'm that someone. I am that benevolent, kind, and generous ruler that will lead you to battle. Hey, it's okay to be basic. There's nothing wrong with basic. I like my pumpkin spice lattes too.
Otherwise, they'll only do tasks like moving forward, shooting, and, if we're feeling a bit silly, moving forward while shooting. But even still, the standard warrior is still a horrific sight in battle.
Yeah.
They're still really durable, they have strong repair mechanisms, and even their standard infantry weapon is one of the strongest weapons in 40k. Which, speaking of weapons, let's talk about their weapons. Oh, and by the way, there's some other Necron specialists like Cryptex and Death Marks, but that's the basic hierarchy.
Okay.
So, to the weapons. Necrons have some of the craziest, if not the craziest tech in the universe.
They do have the craziest tech. They have the most advanced tech. They just might not remember how to run it properly after being asleep for millions of years.
Wait, no, scratch that. Necrons flat out have the craziest tech in the 40k universe. And keep in mind, before the Great Sleep, the Necrons chose to destroy their most crazy, dangerous weapons so that no one else could find and use them.
Oh, they did that? Oh, I didn't realize they did that. Wow, that's very responsible of them. Can't imagine that in my Warhammer.
So, everything mentioned here are just like their B-grade weapons.
Oh,
the most
okay.
common Necron weapon are their Gauss weapons. These funky things are theoretically magnet-based, if their name is to be believed. They are depicted as shooting green lasers a lot, but that could also just be like the huge amount of energy or some other sci-fi thing. This gun's projectile breaks down whatever it hits on a molecular level. This means that it's effective against pretty much any target, atomizing guardsmen and easily eating through Space Marine armor. And remember, this is just the bare bones loser.
Wow, their normal infantry gun. That's crazy. That's like their regular Joe Blow gets a Gauss gun. Is that what he called it? A Gauss gun? Wow, your entry level gun is this? That's crazy. Versus like the flashlights of the Imperium. Damn.
Infantry gun for these guys. Another common Necron infantry weapon are their Tesla carbines.
Ooh.
They shoot living lightning that gets energized each time it arcs to a new target. These arcs are, again, effective against flesh and armor alike.
They got chain lightning? Heck yeah. That's so cool.
This gun's biggest weakness being car washes, of course. Then, their ships and weapon platforms also have upscaled Gauss and Tesla weaponry, along with some other nutty things like Doomsday Blasters, Death Rays, and Annihilator Beam.
They like Necron Necron weapons and tech sounds like comically evil sometimes. Like when you think of like the big bad of like some like movie or something, they have the doomsday weapons and they have the death rays and the the instant nukes. Yeah, Lex Luthor ass weapons. That's so funny.
Beams. Then, on the higher end of things, it's everyone's favorite weapon to bring up when talking about the insanity of the Necrons. There's this little thing called the Celestial Orrery, and it's not solely a weapon, it's
Ooh.
actually a mega surveillance system, or, well, an orrery. So, it's basically just a
Ah.
super map. A map that can casually destroy entire stars with a push of a button. Yup, the Necron Super Google Maps has the ability to destroy stars if one was to destroy the representation of said star on the orrery.
The Celestial Orrery. So anything within the Celestial Orrery as a star or cosmic body can be instant nuked? That is really cool. That is actually a really cool concept.
Pretty whack. Oh yeah, and they also use enslaved Catan shards as weapons and to power
They have Catan powered weapons? They power weapons with the essence of a Catan? That's heckin' cool. That's really cool.
their weapons. No big deal, that's just my god battery.
Hey, your phone died? Let me go get the God battery pack. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I got some to spare. It's fine. Yeah, you can use my God battery. That's so cool.
Now, these aren't all the weapons, but it does kind of give an idea of the nuttiness of the Necrons. And finally, we can't talk about Necron tech without talking about their most iconic ability, the Reanimation Protocol.
Yeah.
14 minutes into the video and we haven't even talked about the Necron Reanimation Protocol. Worst Necron video ever! Every Necron has the ability to repair itself due to their living metal bodies, and if they're damaged enough, they'll be automatically teleported back to a tomb world to be repaired or get a new body. This means that along with being incredibly durable, the Necrons are constantly repairing themselves and reanimating as they completely crush any foe they face. However, each time a Necron is reanimated, they lose a bit of themselves until they're eventually permanently killed. The higher ranking Necrons are able to reanimate more than the standard warrior, but they're still susceptible.
I feel like when I'm reading Infinite and the Divine, like Trazyn reanimates all the time. Is that the same as is that the same as when they jump bodies? Or is that something else? Yeah, he swaps bodies. Yeah, that's something else. Oh, okay. Okay. I was like, damn, Trazyn be swapping bodies like all the time. But I guess that's different because he's not actually dying and reanimating. He's the only one that, yeah, okay, he cheats. That's such a cool ability. He just takes over bodies of other Necrons. He's like, oops, my body's gonna get damaged. I'll just take yours, thank you. Oops.
To going insane or losing themselves if they do it too much. Finally, let's close this off with the Necron dynasties. As previously mentioned, the Pharaons ruled dynasties made up of many tomb worlds.
Okay.
Each dynasty, fuck, I keep on switching between dynasty and dynasty, god damn it. But anyways, each dynasty has its own, fuck, I just did it again. Okay, I just looked and I was right the first time. It's supposed to be dynasty, but I'm not gonna fix it. Each group has their own goals and beliefs, and they often feud with each other since the overlords try to undermine their peers in order to gain more power. There's also some Necron sub-factions that are usually somewhat shunned from normal Necron society, but they're still useful in war. The most prominent of these being the Destroyer cults.
Is that a tank Necron? What the heck? I don't know much about the Destroyer cults, actually. They got a tank Necron and like a spider-looking Necron over there that I'm covering. Okay.
Necrons who join the Destroyer cults despise all organic life and believe that the biotransference was actually beneficial. They fully embrace the mechanical bodies and they heavily modify them.
The flesh is weak Necron variety. The ones who just want to kill everything. The spider guy is a Hexmark Destroyer. Oh, okay. The one on the right is a... I'm not gonna say that!
themselves to be the ultimate war machines so that they can eradicate all organic life. These dudes are considered crazy weirdos by most Necrons, but most overlords realize that these dudes with 6 gun arms or a literal dump truck ass might be useful in battle, so they're still commonly used in Necron armies. And finally, we're at the last sub-faction I'll talk about today. And what better way to close off the Halloween episode than to talk about the Flayed Ones.
Oh,
the Flayed
yeah.
Ones are Necrons who fell victim to the Flayer virus created by one of the Catan that the Necrons were actually able to truly kill. The Flayer virus makes the afflicted Necrons insane, warps their bodies to have horrible, horrible talons, and makes them crave flesh and blood just like I crave canes and cane sauce. Just like me downing a delectable chicken meal.
Oh, they actually crave flesh and blood? Oh, I thought they just wanted to be human. I don't really know much about how they work. Both.
The Flayed Ones will flay their victims and then desperately try to eat them, which proves to be quite the challenge since they have no mouth or stomach. But anyways, these poor fellas are often shunned by most other Necrons since they fear getting the Flare virus themselves.
That one kind of looks like a Tomb King with like knife hands. When you're already a zombie, but the Catan made you more of a zombie. Dang, there's no peace.
Often Flayed Ones are killed by their peers, but luckily for them, they have a special flare dimension they can retreat to, so they're nearly impossible to truly eradicate. In battle, they're also—
That was the Meat Shack chat. That was actually the Meat Shack. The flare dimension. It's all connected.
In battle, they're also useful for their ferocity and killer instincts.
The flare dimension, aka Stims and Meat Shack.
But they're often hunted out afterwards once their usefulness expires. But despite going feral and going a bit crazy, the Flayed Ones do sometimes keep their minds and lament the fact that they're shunned by their former friends. They're also said to communicate with clicks of their claws.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Damn it, these guys are just that shitty Japanese creepypasta girl.
Creepy.
But yeah, that's the Necrons. They're really nutty and they're only really limited by most of them being really sleepy eepy. The ones that are awake are constantly bickering with each other. And of course the madness that comes with living forever. Plus,
old man bickering. That is literally the Necron summed up. Old man bickering and pettiness.
hordes of undead Egyptian Terminators with insane technology. That's just super cool, man. They also have some pretty dense lore, so writing this was a bit challenging on what I should include. But in the future, I want to make a video going more in depth on their units, talk about characters, and make a dedicated War in Heaven vid. But anyways, thanks for watching, and thank you to all my patrons who support the channel.
Thank you,
I really appreciate it.
KrakDuk.
And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and consider sharing to all your shiny metal buddies. Thanks. Hot take, I don't like the new Orkin model. Feel free to kill me. Okay.
You don't like the Orkin model? I think he looks so good. I really like this model. I really like the Necron models, though. They look really nice. I think Trazyn needs a new model. His is kind of lame compared to the Orcon model. But that was a good video. Good video. A very bite-sized Necron lore video. I even learned a few things. Oh yeah, he also said he prefers the old model. That's true. Which is not a super common take. The Orcon model's good. Trazyn model doesn't match how cool he is. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Name one Necron model you don't like, Miss Streamer. I think they're all pretty good, but I think some of them could be updated.